them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond Marsh
The sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, how are you on this Tuesday afternoon, my friend?
Good, Jimmy. I'm watching some significant snowfall outside my window here.
It looks bright from the light.
It's not. It might be looking bright here, but I can tell you right now,
that might be your computer.
it's my computer because it's pretty dark outside.
Yeah, it's kind of overcast here, but a little warmer than it's been. We've been lucking out here down in the New England area. But Pierre, lots of great hockey last night. We'll get to that in a bit. I just want to tell everybody we've got a great guest lined up. And actually, he's with us now. So let's save the NHL talk from last night and welcome on our featured guest. He's been on the Eye Test before, and he is coming now. The head coach of Penticton Vees, Fred Harbinson, joining us here on the Eye Test. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Great. How are you guys today?
Oh my gosh, there must be a party there at Salty's in Penticton. Maybe over at Earl's. Who knows?
Yeah, a lot of people excited for sure. I actually just ran off the ice. We just finished practice today, but yeah, a lot going on in the last 24 hours, obviously here in Penticton.
Couldn't be more proud of you and happy for you, Coach. You're the perfect man for the perfect job. And if there's going to be a small market that really kicks butt in the Western Hockey League, it's going to be the Penticton Vees.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, obviously that means a lot to hear that. It's been a lot of work behind the scenes the last few months, and obviously a lot of changes happened in November, as you guys know, with the NCAA changes, with the CHL players getting eligibility, and kind of from that point on, Graham Fraser, our majority owner, and myself kind of worked behind the scenes to see what we could do to. What was the next step for our program and our organization? And obviously it was culminated yesterday with our press conference.
Hey, Jimmy, I got to tell you this. Coach knows. He told me a long time ago about this. He said, don't say anything. I never said a word, did I, Jimmy?
Nope. You didn't even tell me, Coach.
No, I did not.
Well, it's funny. Like, we were told that we had to keep her low key. And when it was a few months ago, me and Graham we were on a road trip to Alberta. I'm from Calgary, so my parents, my mom and my dad came to the hotel, and me and Graham were talking about it. And my mom takes everything so serious. She Italian lady, takes everything so serious. And I said, hey, this has got to keep this quiet. Well, things started leaking out months later. She's lying to my brothers, like she ain't telling anybody. even up till the other day, she finally, I was like, you haven't told anybody? She said, and so. Anyway, they had it on complete lockdown, and it was nice to, obviously, things started leaking out about a month ago, and a lot of people were whispering around town trying to figure out what was happening, and it was nice to finally put it out in the public yesterday.
Yep. Coach, you guys have done an amazing job, maybe one of the best over the years in recruiting, but what does this do now in terms of opening that up for you, and how do you approach it differently? How do you approach it the same?
Well, it's obviously different in the fact that we are now dealing with, a draft league, and we've got to get ready for a lot of drafts coming up here. And so, it's with that, though, I'll still say that, you can draft a player and you still have to recruit them. You still have to, they have options. These players have so many options nowadays. So, I think the one thing is behind the scenes when we started thinking about this or seeing if we could get into it, our staff, and I've got a few other people that we're going to hire in the next little bit here as far as our scouting, making a more extensive scouting department. We kind of went with the mindset we're getting in, we're going to do all the legwork, all the due diligence, and if we don't, we don't. But we're not going to be behind. And so, we've got the priority, 2010 draft with the 2 rounds for the U.S. kids. We got the regular priority draft with the Western League kids, and then you've got an expansion draft, and then of course the European draft right after the NHL. So that, along with our team playing right now, we've got 2 more games in the regular season, final 2 games in the BC Hockey League, which it's still special to us. We have a chance to, if we win 1 point this weekend out of 4, we'll win the President's Trophy in the Interior Division again, and we want to try to finish on top. We've been in that league since 1961, played regular, I think almost 3,500 regular season games, and these are the final two before we get on one more playoff run before all this takes place.
Jimmy, I know you know, but this is for our audience out there. We're a proud Vees family. Our son played for Coach Harbinson. We're so grateful that he did. And so when you're a young man and you go play there, you know what you're signing up for. Coach, how many of your players that you have now do you think could potentially be back with you next year?
Probably, like, we're hoping maybe 5 or 6. Now, the way it works is obviously there's regions that you're dealing with now. Like, it's not like the old days where, yeah, you know, Jimmy, like you said, you know, it's one thing about recruiting, but before I could grab a kid out of Boston or wherever it is, and now there's different regions that we have to, you know, obviously get players from. So we can list players, which we've already listed a couple guys that were currently on our team that weren't on other teams' lists. The other, you know, we have a couple guys on our team that are owned by Western League teams that, you know, we have the opportunity to negotiate their rights to try to see if we can pull them out of those teams, and maybe instead of picking one of the players in the expansion draft. And then, of course, you know, maybe through some other kind of trade. So it's, we're hoping that what would be nice is if we could have 5 or 6 is now you're starting with a little nucleus of guys that understand what it is to be a Penticton Vee, what our culture is, what our standards are. Because yes, you know, we talked yesterday in our press conference. It's a new league and it's a step up, but our standards aren't going to change. Like, you know, they are. I think there's a reason the Western Hockey League accepted us. Obviously, there was a financial component, but I think they were also buying a brand. I think they were, you know, taking the Vees brand that's been around for a long, long time. And well before I got here, some great players and great traditions were established well before I got here. And I've been here 18 years now, and I think we've enhanced them and taken them to another level. And that's not going to change in the new era.
Jimmy, before you ask the coach, I just want, you talked about the draft for the U.S. I know what it was like because Ryan was drafted in the Quebec League because of territorial situation where he was born. Will those rules still apply, or will you be able to draft a kid from Connecticut or Boston or Illinois?
No,
how's that going to work?
No, you're right. It is territorial. So basically, Mississippi River West is what we have. So, you know, kind of Minnesota and you know, California, all those different states. And so, you know, I think it's the one thing that's really changed. And I'm sure you've probably seen it down there is when you go to U.S. tournaments now, there's a lot of CHL coaches or GMs, I guess GMs or scouts, sorry, at those games. And because now with that NCAA change in rules, more and more players are looking that direction. And so, you know, I've got a very good handle on 2 guys. I'm going to hire, so I'm going to stay as president, GM, and coach. Obviously at this level, I can't run things like I did before by doing everything. So I'm going to hire a director of scouting. I'm going to hire more than likely a vice president of hockey operations. So that VP of hockey ops is going to help me a lot with our GM duties, a lot of the Western Hockey League stuff at that level. Director of scouting will be kind of, in pro sense, would be almost the amateur guy. So dealing more with the Bantam draft and that sort of thing. And then we'll have some regional scouts, and having a couple in the U.S. is going to be really critical now.
Coach, what's the reaction been like for players on the team right now, just to this whole move?
You know, I got to say, and I told them that today, I'm very proud of them. I think it's remarkable how they've stayed the course right now, because there are guys on our team that understand that, you know, because of where they're from, probably don't have an opportunity to come back here next year. When everything started leaking out a month ago, I sat them down and I said, look, nothing's really changed how I operate here. When a player comes here, they're either going to go on to the NCAA or, you know what, we're going to take care of them one way or the other. And so we have a group of guys that knew they were going on to school next year. That just stays the same. And then for the other guys, I said, listen, there'll be a group of guys that'll be able to come back. And the ones that can't, they had my word, and they have my word that I will make sure that every single one of them have a home, and a good home. And that's going to take care of itself, because they're all good players here. We have a very good team again. But that's, you know, our mandate here right from day one. You know, we want to make sure our players are, when you're one, like Pierre said, once you're a V, you're always a V, and they're going to be part of our family this year and next.
Jimmy, just to back the coach up, there was a player named Tyler Ho that played for him, and Tyler first started major junior. Then he went to Penticton because the rules were different then.
Oh, yeah.
They got him a spot, and he played at Lakehead University near Thunder Bay. And so there's a player whose career probably would have ended had it not been for the people in Penticton pushing him along to get to Lakehead. That's just one example of what coach is talking about. I have another question for you. Who becomes your biggest rival? Is it Kamloops? Is it Kelowna? Who's going to be? Is it going to be the Giants? Who's your biggest rival?
It's definitely going to be Kelowna. They're just down the road, and of course next year, and it wasn't anything I did, but yesterday the mayor had to take a shot about how they want to go after Kelowna. Then Graham, our owner, had to make a comment about Kelowna. And we're playing our home opener against them, so it's gonna be and they're the host of the Memorial Cup next year. So you know what's pretty cool. Like I'm, a lot of coaches are kind of historians of the game and that kind of thing, and so I'm big into the history of junior hockey in Canada and definitely in British Columbia. And 3 of the 4 teams that started playing junior hockey in British Columbia are Kamloops, Kelowna, Penticton. 3 of the 4 original teams, and so you're gonna rekindle some of those old rivalries. We've given up some in the BCHL, and now we're going to get these ones. And I can tell you this, our city's buzzing right now. They love the Vees and they love the team, and they're looking forward to the next challenge.
I can't wait to watch a game there. I'm so pumped. When I saw it, and I knew this was coming, but I woke up at 3:30 this morning and I had a text message from the coach of the Penticton Vees, and it was a press conference. And I was like, this is unbelievable. It's so good.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know what? They did a great job yesterday, and a lot of credit to our ownership. Now Graham and Sue Fraser have been outstanding my whole time here, and they've brought on a few other minority owners along with this endeavor. It's a big financial endeavor, and what's cool about that too is a guy like Mike Richter, his sons played here, so there's they're alumni, and Mark Shifley never played here or anything, but he billeted with Graham Fraser, our owner, when Graham lived in Barrie. So there's a lot of cool connections and storylines that go along with that. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of different challenges going to that league, but we're going to find our way through them through hard work and just the way we do things here.
Coach, given your experience placing kids on college teams over the years, do you think that gives you a bit of an advantage, or with getting players to your team?
I think that's a great question. I think we understand that when you're playing, when you're coaching or playing, and your organization is in the CHL, you can't afford to have everybody leaving at the same time. There's got to be some give and take there. But we're going to embrace it. We are going to want to continue to utilize our network, our connections through college hockey. I don't think there's any way around it. So it'd be better to be upfront and work with your players on it, so you're not surprised by things. I think I've always, had a good open door relationship with my players, and they understand that I have their best interests at heart, and nothing that's not going to change. They don't need to sneak around and try to do things on their own. We'll be able to work with them and their advisors and whatnot, and those colleges, and hopefully maybe you get the college feels comfortable leaving them an extra year, and if not, then maybe they're the ones that are helping you get the next one in, and so we've got a lot of experience on high turnover. One of the things we're very proud of, 2 things. One is our consistency. We've always been in the mix over a long period of time. There's always championships, champion teams that come and go. We've been in the mix year after year for a long period. And then the other one is we've done it with a ton of turnover, which means we've been moving players on to the next level consistently. And so I think we have the mindset and understand how to deal with that maybe more than others.
It's cool, Jimmy. He's got a player by the name of McCamey that's there. Is he going to be staying or moving on?
That one will be a tough one, to be honest with you. I mean, you got to remember, he probably should have been the 2nd pick overall behind DuPont. And I think, again, when you talk about negotiating, I think Victoria will probably make it a pretty difficult situation. And he's from right around there. So we'll see. One situation at a time. But, Eli's had a very good 15-year-old season for us. Yeah. It's a big jump, and he's done very remarkable for us. Your
team's been amazing to watch all year long, and you've battled with a lot of injuries too. I know you have, especially. Yeah, we
really have. We got really big, good size on our back end. We've had solid goaltending, and we've kind of developed the 4-line system again, where we've had some guys really grow in the second half, and again, we've got 2 games to go here. It'd be really nice if we win. If we get 1 point, we're going to end up hanging 2 banners, because we'll get the interior division it'll be the 13th time in a row. The record before for divisional championships, regular season divisional championships in a row was 4 before we started on this run. We're going for our 13th. We get the President's Trophy and then take one last run in the BC Hockey League to see if we can grab another championship.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Coach, was there ever a time in the past, years before, that you maybe thought this could happen and it didn't?
No, not in Penticton. I've had opportunities to leave for different jobs, and people have asked, why aren't you going to the net, to the Western League or whatever it was? And I've said it a million times. Like you guys being around hockey, you understand this is when you have someone like Graham, me and Graham's connection just seemed to click. Like I came a year before he did, and then he bought the team after my first year. And it just, our relationship grew and grew, and we really thought the same way. And he turned this into a job that was more like a college job for me, to say, the level of the job. And so it made me want to stay. As far as like the thought of where we would bring this program next, it was just to continue in that path. And then when, when that rule change happened, we kind of looked at each other and said, I mean, we'll still have a good team, but with the days of getting the high-end players, like Pierre's son wouldn't probably have been calling us. There'd be other options for them to go, obviously, Pierre's son would have went to the Quebec League if he could still go to college, or, the Nadeaus, or you could go down the list on. And we were like, that's not what we're about here. We want the best, and we want to play against the best. So the big thing was trying to figure out if we could financially make it happen here and work in a maybe a little bit of a smaller market. Mm-hmm. I got to say this, our city stepped up big time with a new, we negotiated a new lease. That was going on behind the scenes too. Me and Graham were working on that people didn't realize the last 4 months. But they really showed what, a lot of places say they're, hockey town or whatever. Our city council and mayor really proved it with this deal that they did with us.
Yeah, I just want to end it on that because that's so well said. It really is hockey town. It's an amazing place. It's truly a special place.
Great stuff. Well, listen, Coach, congratulations to you. Best of luck for the rest of the season, and best of luck for the new venture, my friend.
You bet. Thanks, guys. I appreciate having me on.
I'll talk to you soon, Coach. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Legendary Vees coach Fred Harbinson joined us here on the eye test, and man, some exciting times for them over there, Pierre.
They're just, what the coach said is absolutely true. I've lived it. There's certain standards that they have. If you don't uphold the standard, you're probably not going to last in Penticton very long.
Yep.
And people say, well, that's pretty. Yeah. People say that's pretty cutthroat. It's not at all. The kids are told before they go.
Yep.
This is how we operate. And if you think you can operate this way, you're going to last here. And if you don't, you're probably not going to last here.
Yeah.
And that's just how it works.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why they've had so much success. Another thing I was reading up before the show here today, Pierre, on it, he mentioned about, the different changes that will happen with the fans. And I saw in their press conference that they were very adamant about the fact they are going to keep the prices still as low as they can for tickets, concessions, and everything. Obviously, they'll have to go up a little bit more. But he said, we've got you in our mind. We're not going to screw you over. And I thought that was to keep making that clear to their fan base, because as you said, they're a hockey city, they're a hockey town. I thought that was classy.
They're a town team. Like, they are a town team. They're not the whole area. They're that town. Mm-hmm. And it's a cool place. Like, if you ever go out there, Salty's is a great place. Earl's is a great place. There's so many good spots to go. The hotel's right on the lake. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Awesome.
I would tell you this, Jimmy, we got to try to angle for bringing the eye test for the home opener.
Yeah, what is it? This is why we're partners. I was just going to say it.
Jimmy, I'm telling you, like that. I've been a Kelowna. I used to go run their practices in Kelowna. Yep. Mark Habscheid was a coach. The Kelowna Rockets are an amazing franchise. Mm-hmm. To think that the Kelowna Rockets and the Penticton Vees are going to be natural rivals and huge rivals is amazing. And, our good friend Mark Recchi and Jerome McGinley and Shane Doan, those guys own Kamloops.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole geographic area, the major junior hockey, there's going to be unbelievable. I'm just telling you. It's going to be.
We got to get something going. And if I'm not mistaken, Pierre, they start in September, do they not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we wouldn't even interfere with NHL stuff at all. So
No, you miss some NHL camp, but you know what? A lot of NHL teams, like I know Calgary's been there, I know Vancouver's been there. I don't know if Edmonton's been there or not, but they used to have training camp in Penticton.
yeah.
So who knows? But all I know is this: major junior hockey in the West got real lucky. You know, there were other years when they added Red Deer. Red Deer has been a phenomenal franchise. You know, they put Edmonton in. And so that was good. And Coach Harbinson just said our home opener's on the 26th of September. So he's still listening. Coach, if we can work something out, Jimmy and I are coming for that. We will go out for that.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
We got to make that happen.
We got to get like an airline or a some other traveling company. Bring us around North America, Pierre. We'll make it happen.
I just know this, and Coach Harbinson knows, and I know he's listening. I don't want to embarrass him. My son went there, and he told his mother, "This has been the best year of my life." And Coach Harbinson's tough, man.
Yeah, and remind our viewers of when he was there, what was going on in the world.
Well, the COVID stuff was going on, and they treated those young men. I'm talking about the Penticton Vees. I can't speak to the other teams. I'm sure they were equally good. They treated those young men unbelievably. And one of the rules we had, and Coach knows this, Ryan had to go to school. I didn't let him do online school. He had to go to class, actually physically be at Penticton High School. And they found a way to do it. And everything they said was to us as a family they were going to do, they did. Yeah. Now, some people can handle the hardness. Some can't. I get it. Everybody's different. I like the values that Coach Harbinson runs his team with.
And that's so important. That was so important for somebody being away from their family during that time and obviously not getting to get out much. So to have like a good family environment there and a support system must have been huge.
You know what's really cool? He talked about Mike Richter's joining their ownership group. Mike Richter's two boys, Thomas and Beanie, both played there. Beanie went there as a 16-year-old.
Wow.
He went to Penticton as a 16-year-old, and the rules, back then were a little bit different. I think Coach would know better than I, but the 16-year-olds had to play only so many games, and then whatever you were practicing, you weren't playing as much.
Yep, I'm with you. Good stuff. Well, congratulations to Coach and the Vees. Great stuff there. And the other team was Chilliwack, right?
Yes,
they got there. So congratulations to them as well. They will be going to the WHL. All right, Pierre, as I was saying, lots going on around the NHL, and I can't wait to talk about some of the games coming up tonight.
Talk about a couple from last night.
Yeah, let's go right to it. I know I already see it in the comment section. Let's get right to the Islanders Columbus game. And yes, for everyone there saying, what the hell was that? Pierre and I are in the same boat as you. I mean, this is just another example of how there is no standard right now when it comes to goalie interference. And I'm not casting blame on anyone right now, whether it's people in Toronto, rest of the ice. What I'm casting blame on is everyone not being on the same page. Like there has to be some way this offseason for everybody to get on the same wavelength here and understand what exactly it is. And I know it's subjective here. I get it. But at the same time, there has to be some kind of steady line they can follow, because this is going to eventually determine. We're going to go into Brett Hull territory, Pierre. If we're not,
that ship sailed. No, you're not. You're not going there. So here's what I'll tell you quickly. When Elvis Merzlikins comes out to make himself square and Kyle Palmieri cuts in front of him, Palmieri's outside the crease. He's outside the crease. He's not in the crease. He's outside the crease. And Merzlikins takes his right hand and pushes it, the blocker, into Palmieri. And I don't know how many times other people have watched it, but I've watched it a lot. So that kind of puts him off balance. That's not Palmieri's fault. Palmieri's entitled to fight for that ice in front of the crease. Now, if he's in the paint, that's different. Palmieri's entitled to fight for that ice in front of the crease as much as anybody else. And he goes there. And the blocker comes out. And I don't care whether he bumped him or not. I'm talking about with the blocker. He wasn't stopping that puck. No. That was a shot. That was an unstoppable puck. It changed directions. There was no – they can say, well, he wasn't square. He was square. He was square. Yeah. He made himself unsquare because he used his blocker to push Palmieri out of the way.
100%. Well, let's go to that clip right now, and then let's go to Islanders head coach Patrick Waugh's response after the game. I don't know if we get the sound there.
Well, that's from Palmieri.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a goal clip there, but that's okay. Let me see. Oh, okay. Was no clip there. Okay. Apologies for that. So anyways, Patrick Waugh said the main quote from Waugh in that press conference was, we don't need to go to Toronto if they're not going to solve the problem. And I agree with him right now. I understand his frustration. I get it. But, you just said something there, Pierre, where it was, he does have the Waugh audio. So let's go to the Waugh quote right now. All right.
Was out of the crease and we tipped it in, and I think their goalie pushed him away at the same time. So
there you go.
But that's how I see it. And if Toronto is afraid to overturn calls made by their referee, we don't need Toronto. That's all I would want to say.
Yeah. So I get his frustration. This is one of those where, as a coach, you say what you had to say, which he did, and then your general manager takes over. Mm-hmm. That's a discussion for a higher level.
Yep.
And they've got a general manager that's got amazing street cred with the hierarchy of the National Hockey League.
Yep.
I would like to know, because I watch a ton of games like everybody else does, what's the criteria? I'd like to see a written thing. Like Wes McCauley and Mike Markovich are doing that game. They had a play earlier in the game that led to a goal.
Mm-hmm. That
was pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
But they counted that as a goal.
Yeah.
They didn't count that one as a goal.
Agreed.
So I'm just curious. I would like to know what the criteria is. And they say, we got it written down. Go read it. I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me what the criteria is.
Here, you said something I think was very poignant and very to the point. Like, this is what I think they should really consider. You said something earlier before we went to the clip there. You said it didn't affect the play or the goal. Nope. He's getting scored on anyways. Okay, you know what? That applies to offsides issues too, Pierre. How many times have we seen the delayed offside or the offsides and a goal get called back, but the offsides never really affected the goal? I mean, it's 2 minutes later when they make the call. I think that's part of the criteria. But Pierre, will they let people's opinion on the ice make a call like that? Like, is it?
No, they won't, because you still got to have rules. But so here's my compromise to what you just said. If you look at how tight the offside goals are or aren't goals,
right?
Tight, the margins are tight. And I've talked to other people that have either worked in the league or are still working in the league. The demarcation point shouldn't be the puck crossing the entire blue line.
Mm-hmm.
It should be the puck touching the blue line.
Right.
Once the puck has touched the top of the blue line, everything's onside. And if you go, and I can tell you, I've watched most of them back. I haven't seen them all live, but most. That would wipe out probably 90% of the offside goals that are waved off.
Yeah.
It would.
Yep.
It's just a common sense thing. It's not a big adjustment, and you're still empowering the linesman to make the call, but it makes it easier for them if they know once the puck touches the top of the blue, everything's in play.
Yep. Pierre, another big game with playoff implications, the one we were talking about as well yesterday, the Canucks and Devils. The Canucks pull one out in a shootout 4-3. Same score as the Blue Jackets Islanders.
Yeah.
Gritty win by the Canucks there, Pierre.
Well, they're lucky they had Thatcher Demko back. That's number one. And Thatcher played his butt off. Number two, Connor Garland's one of my favorites because the guy competes all the time. He's not overly large, but he just competes all the time. And I've gotten to know him over the years, and I just think so highly of him because his passion to play is so great. It's what's allowed him. He's a kid that came out of Cushing, wasn't going to college, played major junior, did a great job, went to Arizona, eventually finds his way to Vancouver. Tocchet's with him again, had him there, had him up in Vancouver now. Truth be told, is a name that I brought up when I first went to Ottawa because there was an ability to get him. And they just, at the time, didn't want a smaller guy, which I get. It was an organizational decision, but I thought talent-wise, he would have helped that team.
Yeah, but I like what you say too. His tenacity is unmatched. I mean,
passion to play is amazing. I'm just telling you.
And that's why Tocchet's got to love him. I mean, Tocchet obviously respects that. So
the only difference is Tocchet's probably 3 inches taller.
5 inches taller and 200 pounds.
He's a little bigger. I mean, he can't fight as well as Tocchet, but he's a pretty good fighter.
Mini Tocchet.
Connor can play pretty well, but he doesn't fight. Rick fought.
I'm with you on that. And by the way, I want to go back to that Columbus game. Pierre, I know you said I didn't have to say it, but I will. I thought Columbus was dead, and I text Pierre when they're getting outshot 17-6. They're losing. I said, all right, that's it. They've hit the wall. Well, they made me eat my words. Credit to them. They proved me wrong. And you know what? I love that this team is not giving up. They really aren't. Now, obviously, getting Monahan back and Goodbranson, who I saw they gave their team player of the game to, getting those guys back had to give them a jolt in the dressing room. So they're still in it, my friend. And also another team I wrote off, and I'm eating crow on, is the Detroit Red Wings, who go into Utah and beat them 5-1. Pierre,
time out. Slow
Yes.
down.
All right.
They had 14 shots on net. 2 of the goals that went in went off Utah players. You talk about divine intervention stepping in. If Detroit can go in to win in Colorado tonight, I'll say, Jimmy, you're right.
Okay.
That's
a one-off.
That's a one-off. I feel so bad for Utah. And I like the Red Wings. Todd McClellan, I think the world of him, and I like a lot of their players, and I think their record should be better. I do. I think their record should be better. But they didn't play an A game last night. My goodness gracious. Like, they should have been down 5-0 in that game.
Yeah.
But they had some divine intervention, an empty net goal, and then a garbage goal. It wasn't garbage because the guys worked, but a late goal to make it 5-1. And I was like, people are going to wake up in the Eastern Seaboard and say, oh, Detroit's rolling. They just went in there and steamrolled Utah. And I'm like, that's where you got to watch the game. That's where you just got to watch the game.
All right, let's get to tonight, Pierre, and let's get right to the game that I know probably at least half of our viewers and listeners are going to be paying close attention to, and that's the Montreal Canadiens at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis to take on the red-hot St. Louis Blues. We all know what's on the line for both teams right now. I think this is going to be a dandy. I really do. I think we're going to see a fun game tonight. I'm not sure if it's going to be as high scoring as I'm seeing some people say on social media. I got a feeling both teams might clamp down a bit, but I think this is going to be a great game, Pierre.
St. Louis won 6 in a row. You know, if you look at Montreal's played 10 games in the month of March. They're 5-1-4. 5-1-4. Pretty good. Pretty good, especially with some of the teams they've had to play. The come from behind point they got on Saturday night against Colorado was special. It was great for them. It was really good. Now, I don't know which St. Louis team is going to show up. Montgomery, Jimmy's done an amazing job coaching that team. He's done an amazing job. Deserves a huge amount of credit. But they don't have Colton Parayko. They haven't had Torrey Krug all year. I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, they're lead pipe cinch to win. I can't say that. What I can say is I agree with you. I think it's going to be a hard-fought tight game.
Oh, well, I'll get to that in a second because they are the game I'm focused on in my sick pick of the night by Betway. Let's get right to our sponsors right now then. TCS Customs and Logistics. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics. From around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting. TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For no obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. Again, that is sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. And of course, our wonderful betting sponsors, Betway. You can go all the way with Betway right now. Still, even if you lose, you win and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan that QR code right in front of you on the screen. Or if you're not watching, go to the details section on their website and create a new account. This is only available for new customers. It is not available in Ontario. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 18 plus. Play responsibly. All right, let's get to that sick pick of the night. I'm just focused right on that Canadiens Blues game. Let's go.
It's time for Sick Picks. Brought to you by Betway.
All right, I think both teams show up for this one, and that's why I'm going with the draw up here. Right to overtime, another one. Man, there's a lot of draws lately, so it's a good time to play those if you have a good feeling about it. You get great value, plus 320 if this game goes to overtime, which I think it will. I'm also going to give you 2 anytime goal scorers. You can get Jordan Kyrou, who has scored in 4 straight games against the Canadiens and also has been red hot as of lately in general for the Blues. You can get him at an anytime goal scorer for plus 250. And on the other side, I'm going to go to the big man, Slafkovsky, for the Montreal Canadiens to get a goal. You can get him right now at plus 350 at Betway as an anytime goal scorer.
Did you do a lot of research on the Kyrou thing?
I did.
Oh, really? So you know that in the last 3 years, he scored 30 or more goals 3 years in a row.
Yep.
So it's an educated decision by you.
It is. And he does tend to get up for these games against the Canadiens. I don't know what it is. Do you know, does he have some background connection to them, Pierre, that we don't know about?
No, but he's just a good player.
Yeah.
He's playing on a line with Dylan Holloway and Braden Shen. The line's really good.
Yeah.
Shen scored into an empty net goal in their last win over Nashville. He was very good in that game. Robert Thomas is a star. He's a star player. He doesn't get enough credit for his playmaking. I love the chemistry with him and Jake Neighbors. The chemistry on that line is really good. The two guys that came from Edmonton, one of them Holloway and the other one Broberg, those two guys have made a massive difference for the St. Louis Blues.
Let me ask you something, Pierre, too. I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and you probably tell me to calm down. However, I did hear our guest for tomorrow, who is Andy Strickland, longtime St. Louis Blues analyst and on-ice reporter there, talking about the fact that, if Holloway keeps this up and he continues it a bit into next year, the GM of Hockey Canada is his GM there. Do you think he could ever make that team?
It'd be a reach. Look, no disrespect. Scheifele's pretty good. He wasn't on the last team. Suzuki's pretty good. He wasn't on the last team. Tommy Wilson's pretty good. He wasn't on the last team.
What have they all done since they didn't make it, too? You're right. They've all been.
So, they won. So you can't fault. It was tight, obviously.
Uh-huh.
But could Holloway have a chance? Sure, anybody could. But realistically, I think it's a long shot. It's a long shot.
All right. Let's get right to our Q&A right now. What do we got? Ethan Russell. What is one of the biggest reasons Dylan Holloway is a point-per-game player ever since Montgomery took over?
Because he lets him play. He's a college player that played at Wisconsin, and the coach played at University of Maine, and he says, I'm going to let this guy play.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays, and his speed is apparent, and his finishing ability is apparent. And Pasternak played pretty darn well for him, didn't he?
Yep.
For Montgomery, he played pretty well for him. I don't know.
You know who else played well? Frederick. I know he wasn't a college. Oh, he was, actually a college guy, and he played well. And then once he left, he disappeared.
Frederick and Holloway were both at Wisconsin.
They're both teammates. That's right. All right, let's go. Next question. Hostnet on 130. Good afternoon, Jimmy and Pierre. Are there any stand-up style goalies anymore, or is butterfly and dropping down the norm with size preferred? NHL players are marksmen, so minimize the opportunity.
The whole thing is about percentages. And so the goalies are taught now, and I hear this from all the goalie coaches, take away the lower part of the net, more percentage pucks are shot at the lower part of the net than the upper part of the net. And most of these guys are over 6'2" now. So even if they are on their knees, they're still taking away the upper part of that. What I don't understand was when the puck is in the corner, why they're still dropping to their knees. That's why these guys are shooting off the side of the goalies' heads right now, which is a bit of a problem.
Yeah. All right, next question. Alex Evanowski, it was discussed a quicker way for the Hawks to speed up the rebuild. Would you consider trading your first-round pick in 26 to another team in the top 3 or 5 in 25 to get another high-end player?
I want to keep the 26 pick because if I'm going to be picking first, I know who I'm taking.
Yeah.
Taking McKenna. So, yeah.
I'm with you on that. 26 looks a lot more appetizing to me right now. All right, next question. Ron LaRoque. What's up, Ron? Do you think we will see more 16-year-olds allowed to play junior hockey with the new rules for college? 16
is not a problem for college guys. It's below 16. Or for junior, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that's not an issue. They have the Bantam draft in the Western Hockey League. So that you got to get exceptional status to play below 15 in the Ontario League. Same with Quebec. So, I don't see that being an issue.
Okay. Next question. Sound the siren. Guys, is this an appropriate platform to talk about the three, we'll just say bad name here, Dallas Star executives who really cheated some youth hockey families out of additional money for hotel stays? Sound the siren. I read the story. but I don't feel qualified enough to talk about it just yet. It does not look good from what I read.
It's a bad situation.
Yeah.
Hockey's expensive enough. That's a bad situation. Yeah, it's the appropriate form because there are a lot of people that have families that are involved in hockey. I can tell you this. It's been one of my pet peeves for a while. I'm not going to say the districts or the areas where a lot of hotels have gouged on because they know their hockey tournaments there, whether it's youth hockey tournaments, whether it's young lady hockey tournaments. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. I have participated in it because they've held us hostage too. It's unfortunate. I think it's, not very appetizing to see a quality, and they are. The Dallas Stars are a quality organization. Jimmy Nill's an awesome human being. He's nowhere near this. Mr. Gagliardi, the owner, he's nowhere near this. These are other people. These are underlings. It's unfortunate. So the headline catches everybody's eye, but it's people that aren't even really involved in the hockey team. They're just bad guys. They're bad guys.
Pierre, is there any way? I mean, I hope this isn't a stupid question, but is there a way for the towns or cities that these hotels are in, when these tournaments come there, to regulate that? Or would they?
I don't know the answer. I think it's a fair question. I just don't know the answer to that. I really don't. Because, we live in a capitalist society. So the market is what the market is. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what the law is in all these different I wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't know. But I think it's a fair question.
Okay. We'll see what happens with that. All right. Next question. Alex Evanowski. Adam Fantilli had a
Wait a second. I have a question for Alex. Did you watch the game or just the highlights? He had 2 awesome goals in that game last night.
Yep. And this would be the guy that we've been talking about for a long time, that we thought should have got the Calder if he didn't get hurt last year. He can really score from distance, says Alex. You think he can score 50 at some point in his career?
Yeah, I think he's a stud.
He's a stud.
I've talked to Mark. He's big and strong, man. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Remember what Rex told us too. I mean, Rex loved coaching him. All right, next question. Sound the siren. Guys, I'm piggybacking off of Alex's comment. Columbus is primed for success in the next few years, but what should be their focus this coming off season to strengthen their roster?
I try to work on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
Try to help build the back end. Now they've got some guys coming though, and they've done some good stuff with their farm team down in Cleveland. So they've got some good stuff. They're in a pretty good position. I wonder about the goaltending long term, but again, that's something internally they have to gauge.
I will, Pierre, though, when he's been healthy, I'm giving him credit. Merzlikins has been a lot better than I thought he would be.
Yeah,
right?
No, he's done well.
Yeah.
He's done well.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, what do you think of allowing the age to 19 to be allowed to go to the AHL? There are times the prospects going in WHL or junior have nothing to prove anymore.
Yeah, but the junior operators still don't want to lose those players unless they're playing in the NHL. They got to have those kids. And now you got expansion in the West with 2 teams joining. You're going to have expansion in the NHL. So I don't know. I would say no.
No. It's not,
and, you can do what Austin Matthews did if you want to, and that's go overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And play. I'm not sure that's the right thing either. No. But he's an exception. He's an exceptional talent. He's an exceptional talent.
All right, next question. John Smith, non-hockey question. You guys see a situation where if things escalate politically, where some countries boycott the Olympic Games in LA?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not there yet. I hope not. We'll see.
I'd be surprised. I mean, I was alive for the last boycott in 1980. I don't know. I'd be surprised though.
Was there one? Did something happen in 84 too when they had in LA, Pierre?
Not that I'm aware. Maybe the Russians didn't come in 84 because everybody boycotted 80. So maybe the Russians didn't come in 84. I don't remember, but I remember 80 really well.
Okay. All right. Next question. Alex Evanowski. I got to give the Islanders credit. Many others, including myself, keep writing them off. They just keep hanging around. It goes to show you how goaltending and structure works. How impressed are you? And coaching, Alex, I'll put in there, Pierre.
I totally agree. Really impressed. Patty's done a great job with his staff. We've talked about that before. Not trading Noah Dobson was really smart by them. Pulock and Pelech are really – this is one thing they have that allows them to survive in all these games, and Alex just talked about it. The goaltending's solid, and the defense is really good.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they don't outscore a lot of teams. They
Yeah.
got to out-defend a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm. Ironically, though, they've been entangled in some high-scoring games, Pierre, which give them credit. They're scoring more than I thought they could.
That's fair, especially without Brock Nelson being around.
Thank you for bringing. That's the other thing. They've been doing this all after they traded Brock Nelson, so that's huge.
Yeah.
And by the way, Randy Workman confirming, Russia did not come in '84 there. So
there you go. Thanks, Randy.
Next question. WPHL. Do you think Joe Beninati is feeling pressure to deliver a memorable call to go along with Ovechkin's record-tying and record-breaking goals? Pierre, you're closer to the announcing business, obviously, than me. I'll let you take this, but that's a good question. Like, I wonder, does that stick in his head? What am I going to say when that moment happens? What are you just
They always prepare. They always have something prepared. Number one. Number two, the first time I heard Joe Beninati make a call, my brother was a goalie at Bowdoin College, and Joe was a play-by-play guy for Bowdoin.
Wow.
That's where he started, at Bowdoin College.
Oh, really?
Number three, the one thing that gives Joe Beninati serious street cred, he called a 2019 Stanley Cup win for the Washington Capitals. So I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the moment at all. I think he'll handle it really well.
Yep. All right. Hey, Pierre, you don't have to mention names or the calls they were planning, but did you ever have those conversations when you were doing hockey for NBC and heading into a cup clinching game with the play-by-play guys, namely one of the best ever? No.
I work with Kenny Albert there. I work with Chris Cuthbert there, and I work with the legendary Doc Emmerich there. I would never once ever tread on their field, just like.
But they never brought it up to you. Like, they never said, "Hey, can I reverse this on you?"
No, they never once said, watch this or watch that. There was the one thing that I really admired about NBC when I worked there for 16 years before they lost the rights. What I really appreciated was there was a professionalism from everybody that worked there, where you didn't have to worry about the guy next to you. You knew he was going to show up and compete.
Yep.
Just like in the truck, we had men working inside and we had women working inside, and you never had to worry about a woman working inside or a man working inside.
Yep.
My gauge to the truck was the EVS operator who did all our replay packs, and we built some amazing replay packs, and we used to build those on the fly. People don't understand any of what I'm saying right now, except how complicated it was. And if it looks complicated on your TV set, it means we're doing a bad job.
Okay.
And I've had women EVS operators that are super elite, and I've had men EVS operators that are super elite.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing at NBC that I really appreciated. There was an unbelievable amount of professionalism that went on there. Yeah. Amazing.
That's awesome. All right. Next question. Ethan Russell, how much credit does Huska get for building up cadres and Huberdeau's success? Also, Huska should be a coach of the year candidate. 100% agree, Ethan.
We've been talking about this since October. So thank you, Ethan. We agree with you. Ryan Huska's done a great job. And we just had Freddie Harbinson on, the future general manager, president, head coach of a Western Hockey League team in Penticton. And Ryan Huska worked at his biggest rival. He worked for the Kelowna Rockets.
There you go.
So there you go. That's good. That's appropriate from Ethan. That's good.
It is true. And Cadre and Huberdeau have just really turned their careers around. Like,
here's the one thing I say, Naz is really. Yeah.
Remember everybody poo-pooing on him coming into the season? It was bad. I mean, they were like, they're going to.
There were a lot of rumors Naz was getting traded. Nobody wanted to take his contract. It's hard for me to ever say a critical thing about Naz. You go back and you go through the World Junior stuff with him, and that I had the honor to do and be around him and see how hard he competed. And then call the games where he took the penalties against Boston when he was in Toronto, and to see the beatdown that he took, social media and all that other stuff, the fact he's still playing at a high level and went on to win the cup in Colorado is pretty amazing. It says a lot about his toughness.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the name of the Bruin, but there was a Bruin back, when that Toronto-Boston thing was really heated. And he said to me, you know what? I'd take that guy on my team any day.
You don't have to say the name.
I hate playing against him, but I'll take him any day.
100%. And there are not too many players in the league that would say anything different. They would agree with that player.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, Jimmy and Pierre, which team that is not in the playoffs is going to be the biggest disappointment? I think, like Pierre said yesterday, I'm going to go with Nashville.
Nashville's broken my heart. I feel terrible because I know Andrew Burnett. He's a really good coach. And I know Barry Trotz really well, and he's a really good hockey man. So that's one. And I'd say on the other side, what happened? I know the Rangers still have a chance, Jimmy, but
yeah, that's the one I would say the Rangers. I know some people might say the Bruins, Pierre, but you and I
no
good feeling about that team from
right
the
at the start, even in the summer.
Yeah,
I know we talked about it.
We said they're lucky to be in that 8th spot. You know, like
they're going to be battling for the 8th spot. That's what we said.
And they're not even there now. But
no, I don't have the Bruins in that category, but I do have the Rangers there. And maybe the Rangers make maybe the Rangers make it.
Yep.
I don't know.
If they don't, it's definitely an underachievement.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Ethan Russell, what does Utah need to address heading into next year?
I'd like to see goaltending addressed. I think they have to. Think they need more depth in terms of their bottom 6 forwards. Dylan Gunther's going to be a 40 to 50 goal scorer. Logan Cooley's really starting to evolve into a good player. Kesselring, defenseman out of Northeastern, he's really evolving. He's becoming a good player back there, stabilizing force. They've got some good young guys coming. I think your buddy Armstrong's done a good job as a GM there with his scouting staff. They've got some good young players coming along. They really do.
I'm just looking at their age group here. Oldest players they have. Well, they got Ian Cole and Bertuzzo. Cole's a free agent, though, so you don't know if he's going to be there. I wonder if adding some veteran punch back there that could still maybe contribute as well. Like,
remember, they got Sergachev last year to bring in Stanley Cup winning street cred to their group.
Another one of those guys up front, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, Jimmy and Pierre, does Colin Ritchie play for the Isles next season? I think so.
Yes.
Yep, for sure. All right, next question. What do we got? Ethan Russell, is Chris Pelosi a player who can step into the NHL
No. He needs to go to the American Hockey League. He's a good player. He's a big physical center iceman, plays at Quinnipiac, got a lot of talent, good skater for a big person, needs to improve his face-off play, needs to improve his puck protection skills in confined areas, but those are not knocks on him, and that's normal for a player at that age. But he'll play in the NHL. I believe he'll play in the NHL, but he needs time.
All right, let's go. Next question. Ethan Russell, do you see Jack Williams jumping into the
I'd
NHL?
be surprised if he jumps right into the NHL right away. He's a bit undersized. He's an 02 birth date. Played at Northeastern this year. He was probably their best offensive player. I know Cam Lund's already signed in San Jose, but Columbus doesn't rush guys. They do a real good job cultivating guys down in Cleveland. So we'll see whether he plays or not. Maybe they give him games. Maybe that was part of the negotiation to get Williams signed.
Pierre, speaking of a Northeastern player, maybe set to embark on a pro career. Any update on young Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan will be flying out to a location tomorrow morning. We're excited for him. It's a good opportunity. And you know what? It's just makes his mother and I happy because we get to watch him play more. So we're excited for him. There'll be more refined probably messaging later. I don't want to step on the organization. So yeah, let's just. Right. But yes, the answer is yes. He will be playing somewhere.
Well, congratulations. Next question. Bill Van Vagel, how does a coach motivate a team to play and keep spirits up once they have been eliminated from the playoffs, especially those who narrowly miss out? Have you experienced this, Pierre?
I have 100%, Bill. And that is such a good question. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is the messaging from the coach to the players is pretty simple. You might be playing on this team right now. Going forward, if you want to stay on this team, you got to keep playing. You got to yell and scream and threaten them. And they said, if you don't want to play in this team, this is the ultimate opportunity for you to showcase your talents. Mm-hmm. So either way, you can't lose. But if you don't play, you're probably going to put yourself in peril. Mm-hmm. So it's really important for you to show up and compete and play, and don't be a malcontent. Because if you are, word will get out. Yeah. So you play both sides of it. You say, hey, if you want to stay here, it'd behoove you to play well. And if you want to move on, it'd be really wise for you to play really well so people actually want to take you. Yeah. So you can use both sides, and it works pretty well.
And I'll just say, too, getting to know scouts over the year, and Pierre will vouch for this, too. They pay attention to that at this time of year.
Body language and bench
Ton.
behavior matters a lot. People are watching.
'Cause their minds are already looking ahead too to next year, you know, and who we want to bring in the offseason. So, all right, next question. Ethan Russell, what are some pros and cons for NCAA versus Major Junior? I don't know much about Major Junior, but I feel like the NCAA is better for development.
No, Major Junior is really good for development too, because it gets you to a pro level schedule. Number one, the travel's really hard. You're not going in. You may be playing in let's use a Quebec league. You might be playing in Drummondville on a Sunday, and you may be playing in Halifax on a Tuesday. And anybody that's done that drive from Drummondville to Halifax knows these kids aren't flying; they're taking the bus. It's hard, so it sets you up for a pro environment. The one thing I'd say, Major Junior has younger players, so I think some of the point totals are skewed. They're a little high because there's a lot of immaturity, physical and otherwise. College is harder to score in college. It's harder to defend in college because guys are bigger, faster, stronger. But I think both of them are really good development situations. But I would say this, you're going to see more players leaving Major Junior when they're 18 and 19 to go play college. College hockey is going to be amazing. It's going to be unbelievable, really.
All right, next question. Ron LaRoe. Strickland brought up Holloway this morning on TSN 690. He was wondering who failed the eye test on letting this player go, especially at 23 years old.
No, nobody failed it, though. Nobody failed the eye test. I just think that Edmonton made a decision that they were going to risk guys being exposed, and they brought in Arvidsson and they brought in Skinner. And Jimmy, you know what I said when that happened? I said, major mistake. Redundant. I said it on the air. It was before Broberg and Holloway went away, but I said it. And because I knew they were exposing themselves to, being hijacked on these young players that were RFAs.
Yeah.
And
there you
go. So everybody understands. Stan Bowman wasn't the GM there then.
Nope.
Kenny Holland had left.
Thank you.
Jackson was running it, and they were trying to figure out how they could get Stan there. But Stan was not the general manager when that happened. He was not.
All right, next question. Chris Blue Shirts. Hey, guys, despite the tough commute from Anaheim to San Jose, I think that the Rangers can possibly and probably get 5 or 6 points out of this trip. With that, I think that they will be in good shape. Let's go Rangers.
Well, that's wishful thinking. That's a really important part of it. The one thing I look at, that LA team, they're a whole lot of nasty on home ice. They had the best home record in the league. Like, they're no fun to play against. Rangers have to do that. They got to get some points here, Jimmy.
Yeah.
They have no choice.
Yep. And by the way, speaking of the whole Anaheim, San Jose, and the travel thing, Pierre, man, did that ever come into play with the Boston Bruins this past weekend, huh? Woo.
Yeah. I know you probably had a little bit of green running around in your pocket. I know that.
Next question. Ethan Russell. If Ottinger plays like he did last night, do you think he can still steal the series versus Colorado, even if
I watched him play last night against Minnesota. He made some amazing saves. Deserves a lot of credit. There was one glove save in the third period. He made an amazing glove save in the third period. I was like, wow, that's vintage. That was really good. So I like the point about Ottinger, but Miro Heiskanen in a playoff series, if he's not playing, I know what I'm doing game plan wise.
Yeah.
That Thomas Harley's gonna get hit a lot. I'll just tell you that right now. If Eiskinen's not back, he's gonna get hit a lot.
And with all due respect to the Minnesota Wild, and this is not a reflection of their skill at all, they are a depleted squad right now. I mean, they are banged up and they've been going through the grinder. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Ottinger. He was brilliant, but it's a different ball game when you're playing the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, we completely and utterly agree.
Yeah. All right, next question. Bill Van Vagel, living in Leafland as a Habs fan, most fans are split as to who plays goal to start the playoffs. Most of my friends think Wall, but what do you think?
I think Stolarz will be the starter.
I think Stolarz too. I do. I think he earned it. All right, next question. Ian Lewis, Habs hold the number 2 wild card for now. Can you make an educated guess on how many points it will take to get in? Well, we went over this yesterday, Pierre.
I thought it'd be between 92 and 94. But it might be a little lower. It might be a little lower. Might be. Not much lower, but it might be a little lower.
Nope. All right. Next question. Ethan Russell. Pierre, I know you watched a lot of Arton Martino this past weekend. Can he jump into the NHL right away? Crazy how good of drafting Dallas has done.
No, I'd say no. He's not better than Ritzkovian that came out of Northeastern last year, who's shredded the American Hockey League this year. Martino's not very big. I've been watching him for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a good player. He's sneaky quick.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good with the puck, and he makes the players around him better. But he's not overly large. And so I think he's going to be spending some time. He might get a game or two, but I think he's going to the American Hockey League.
All right, next question. Bill Van Bagel. Pierre, what's your best Bob Airy story?
I got so many because I loved coaching Bobby. So, Billy, I don't know if you're friends with Bobby or you just want to bust his chops, but Bobby was one of the most programmable players I ever had the privilege of coaching. Whether it was on the penalty kill, he was a fearless penalty killer, or playing back-to-back years against Boston.
That's where I was.
The conference final, and
them nuts.
Some of them, Bobby did drive him nuts. That was part of the plan, and he listened to it. But you can go look that one hit up. He had one hit on Raymond Bourque. If that would have happened in today's NHL, probably suspension. It was, but Bobby Airy was one of my most favorite players to coach because he was so much fun to be around. He skated like the wind. He had amazing feet. And he was so programmable. I just loved my time with Bobby. And he was a really good broadcaster too, by the way.
Yep.
I don't get what they did in Pittsburgh, but he is a really good broadcaster. I don't know. Well, he's not broadcasting right now, so I don't know where Bobby is. But I can tell you one thing. He was a great Peterborough Pete, and he's an unbelievable gentleman. And it was an honor, just like I could say about Kevin Stevens or Mark Recchi or Mario or all those players. It was an honor and privilege to have the chance to work with him, and Bobby was one of those guys.
I remember watching those games you're talking about against Boston. My grandfather used to always say, "He's like, I wish the Bruins would get that guy. He'd be a perfect Bruin."
Bobby was fun to work with. We had some good meetings. It was good.
Next question. Vincent Yoyal. Hello, gentlemen. Hey, Vincent. You spoke about Matthews going overseas. Pierre, can you talk about your year in the Netherlands?
Yeah, it was great. I played over there for a team called Helene. It's in the southern foot of Holland. It was between Germany and Belgium, and they had a really rich hockey tradition in its town. And we made the playoffs that year, and people forget in 80 and 84, the Dutch were Olympic countries. They played in the Olympics, and how they made the Olympics was with a lot of Dutch Canadian players. There were a lot of really good players playing over there then. Some of the better teams were up north in Groningen and in Heerenveen, and there were other ones that were Amsterdam had a wagon. They had some really good players. So yeah, it was fun. I loved every part of it. Willie Desjardins, the former NHL coach, he played over there when I was playing over there. He played in Eindhoven. Tilburg was a really good. They used to get 6,000-7,000 people a game. Tilburg was good. So I had a great year there, and I was fortunate right afterwards. I signed in Jersey, so it was kind of cool. But I had a great experience there. I wouldn't have traded it for anything. Some of my former teammates, I guess they're never your former teammates. A lot of my teammates from there are still guys I talk to. So, yeah, great.
Awesome. All right, next question. Ethan Russell, do you think Boston has rushed too many young guys in the past?
I'll leave that to you.
Yes and no, Ethan. Like, see, I'd say yes, but then I look at what's gone on with Lysell. I mean, they haven't rushed him. They've taken him up, given him a chance. If he doesn't deliver, they put him back down. So I actually like the way they've handled him and Merkulov. But yeah, in the past, I'd agree at times they have, but no, I don't think lately. That's one, like, I know everybody's pouring on Boston right now with the negativity. I won't give them that. Like, I think they've done all right. They just haven't had a lot of good young prospects to develop.
Yeah, I think they've rushed. I don't think they've rushed young guys at all. They were hard on young guys.
I mean, Pasternak played in Providence.
Yeah, but they were hard on guys. Like, they were really hard on Ryan Donato. Really hard. They were really hard on Ryan Donato.
Yep.
They were hard on Grizzlick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know these kids. They were hard on McAvoy.
I think about
they were hard on McAvoy. Like, you can say whatever you want. They were hard on Charlie.
Yep.
So no, I don't think they rushed guys. I don't think they did. I think they were hard. I think they were hard on guys. I think they were really hard on guys.
Yeah. And I want to say too, because I've been thinking about this as we've been talking here with a lot of the questions, there's been a common thread when you guys are talking about, do you think this guy's ready to make the jump to the NHL? And you notice Pierre keeps saying, no, he needs a little time in the NHL. Fans just understand that it's not a bad thing for these kids to go to the AHL first.
Hey, listen, there are two pro leagues that NHL teams utilize, the East Coast Hockey League and the American Hockey League. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to be surprised how many kids are going to end up in the East Coast Hockey League because there's just not enough jobs right now. That's why there's so many good players. There's just not enough jobs. I'm just telling you. And so it's the reality of the business. It's never been harder to play pro hockey in North America. Never.
And that means all leagues. And I can tell you, I get, you want to see this new shiny toy up in the NHL and everything, but trust me, development's a good thing, no matter how skilled the guy is.
Detroit's got it right. Overripe rather than underdeveloped. They got it right in Detroit.
Ron, thanks for the compliment on the hat. Compliments of Doug Christensen. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Next question. Should McKenna go to the NCAA next year?
I'm going to let Jimmy go there first. I'm going to let Jimmy go there first, and then I'll step in after.
Well, I don't really have anywhere to go, Pierre. Like, I'm still trying to formulate my opinion and understand the pros and cons of it. That's why I asked you off air the other day. Do you think there's a possibility that it happens? And if you're a college team, would you be trying to make it happen? So I honestly don't have an opinion on it yet. I'm trying to formulate what I think about this.
I saw what college hockey did for Macklin Celebrini and Lane Hudson and Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault and Jack Eichel. And I see McKenna in that same group of players. And I can go further back if you want to Brian Leach and Paul Correa and Joe Neuendijk. I can go, further back if you want. Those guys all turned out to be Hall of Famers and elite players, and they were college players. I think McKenna's basically after this year will have done as much as he can do in major junior hockey. But that's not to say, look, I don't know the person at all. I just know the player. And if he's anything like Macklin Celebrini, and I'm going to bet he's probably similar, I'm probably looking for another challenge. But that I don't want to take what they do in Medicine Hat is great. Like, I spent a lot of time going there watching players over the years, and they've produced some unbelievable players there. So I'm not going to say, you pull them out of there. I would never say that. I think that's rude. But I do think he's got to explore all his options now that this option's opened.
It is. Why not? If it's there, explore it. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski. Caden Lindstrom has been dealing with a shoulder injury, which kept him out of the WHL all year. Where would you recommend he go next year if healthy?
I don't know. I know about the injury. This is what we talked about last year before the draft. I said, buyer beware, man. This guy's got injury situation that you're going to have to deal with.
You saying that.
And so I feel terribly. That kid's Jimmy, he's a really good player.
Yeah.
Like, he's an NHL, 10 to 12-year player. He's a really good player. I don't know enough about the level of his injury, but I do know that he's had some major injury stuff with his shoulder.
All right, next question. Ron LaRoque, how would it affect those players playing 72 games as opposed to 40?
It wouldn't affect them at all, but they'd find out that practices are pretty severe in college hockey. They would find out a lot about some other stuff that maybe isn't as much fun as playing in a game.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today, Pierre, because I told you we're trying to get a certain college guest for our on-campus Friday, and his team has been off for a while now.
Yes.
Almost
I'm
wondering.
I know how they got their big break too, Jimmy.
Yep. I'm thinking he had some hard practices the last 10 days. All right, next question. Ian Lewis, do you think the Bruins are in for a full rebuild or some on-the-fly retool? What are they going to do? What do you think they should do? I don't think they have. Let's get this out of the conversation here. They are not going to pull off what the Caps did. As Pierre has told you before, they don't have what you need to do that in their system. It's not there. It's just a fact. So I just don't want Bruins fans to think that this is like, boom, they snap their finger and it's 1 or 2 years. I think this is going to be 3 to 4 years to really get back in contention.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's good.
I can't add and say it any better than what Jimmy just did. I completely agree with my partner.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Look at Montreal, what they're doing now. It takes patience. All right, next question. Ethan Russell, I know you talked about this yesterday, but is McAvoy a PP1 player? I feel like he's more useful 5-on-5 and on the PK. Lindholm and Lohrei seem to have better puck handle skills on the PP. Ethan, 100% agree with you. I don't even need to say anymore. You nailed it in my eyes. I think he can still contribute on the PP, but I don't think he needs to be that point guy there running as the quarterback.
A little bit like Mike Matheson in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
He runs a second power play, and he's a number one penalty killer and the number one matchup guy. And Lane Hudson take over that number one power play. I give it to you, man. Yeah. I give it to you. So, yeah, no, I agree with that. I would
put Lindholm there for now and then ease Lohrei in if you can. So
I think that's a good idea. I do.
All right, next question.
I think we got one more.
One more. Ethan Russell, if you're rebuilding high school teams, what are some things you would implement? It's an interesting
I'd find the best goalie I could find, number one. Number two, I'd find the best centerman I could find. And number three, I'd find the best puck-moving defenseman I could find, and then build around those three things.
Yeah. Here, with everything that's going on with junior hockey around it and all these club teams, is it hard now I would imagine, for high school teams to fill out a lineup like that?
I think it's going to be really hard for prep school teams. I think high schools are even behind prep school. Yeah. This is going to be an interesting time. I think a lot of what's going to happen is very positive.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a couple things that are going to be negative.
And it's going to be like a ripple effect. Right?
Yeah. And so part of it is a lot of these kids that are Division I players now, they might get bumped down to Division III.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids that are in Division III, they might get bumped down to club. So I find that to be a negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other part, not everybody can play major junior, and not everybody can play in the USHL. And I can assure you, not everybody can play in the BCHL. So what happens to all those kids that can't play there? Like, what happens to them? Because they're a big part of the population.
Yeah.
The hockey population. So that's the residual spinoff that I think is not good.
All right. Do we have any more? Is that it? I think that's it. I see one there at the end. Did you get that on Schaefer? Just _031. There we go. Is Schaefer the first overall pick this year, even though he's been hurt all year?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. Pierre, appreciate the time, my friend. I know you got to get off to the interview with Mitch Melnick.
I got plenty of time.
Okay.
I'll never cheat anybody on this show. I love doing this show. Jimmy, we created this show.
I know.
So I like it.
My favorite part of the day, Pierre. Even when
like
you've got a crummy day going, there's always
Today was kind of a funky day for me. I killed myself on the Peloton. I'm mad at the instructor.
And I know you've been on the phone a lot.
I was on the phone a lot today, but that's okay.
I hear you. Well, listen, stay out of that snow, Pierre, and hopefully you get down to some warmer weather.
You know what? I know we're speaking to a hockey audience, and I don't work for the Chamber of Commerce and where I grew up, but it's in about 115 miles north of Montreal. It's called Mont Tremblant, Quebec. And all I can tell you right now is if you're a skier and you want to experience really good skiing in the East, get up here. I'm telling you.
They must be psyched too, because the last few winters haven't been that great, right?
Tough. It's been tough. But I just think it's great. We haven't had good spring skiing like this in a long time. And if you like to ski and you're around this area, get up here. You'll have fun.
Do it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I want to thank Fred Harbinson for joining us here. On the
Coach, amazing.
That's great. He thanked me. He said it was a lot of fun. Same here, Coach. We loved it. Thanks, Shane, working the boards back in Montreal. And as I said, we've got Andy Strickland to talk some Blues, recap the Blues Habs tonight, on tomorrow at 4:15 Eastern. And hopefully have some news. I was just alerted. We will have some news by Thursday morning on our potential next remote, which will be coming up really soon if it's a go. So hopefully we can tell you something on that on Thursday. But until then, this has been another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.